The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hey, so welcome to another edition of the Filthy FRB show. It's Tuesday, January 12th, and as always, I'm joined by Filthy Tom Lawler. What's going on, Tom?
A lot. You know what? I hate starting off with that question. What's going on?
Yeah.
A lot of shit's going on.
Just seems like
there's plentiful amount of things that are going on. There's news. There was just the Golden Globes the other night. We've got new national champions, or really, I guess, are they new? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't watch football.
What the hell happened? What the hell happened at the Golden Globes? I saw Leonardo DiCaprio gave a dirty look to Lady Gaga. What was that all about?
She bumped into him. What the hell do you want? You didn't see her? Her big old ass hit him in like the shoulder.
Oh, and he got a little upset.
Well, I don't think he got upset. He just gave like a look. It was pretty funny, I thought.
Yeah. You know, we picked a really good day to record this because there's so much shit going on.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we just had the MMA debut of the Leonardo DiCaprio of sumo. Baruto Kaido defeated Peter Arts on the 31st of last year.
Yeah. So what do you think? I didn't get to see it. I mean, apparently this guy, he's from sumo, but prior to that, he was in judo. He was pretty good.
Yeah, I loved watching him. He's like a big fat guy, but you could tell he can kind of move around. He's like an athletic fat guy. I mean, his striking was below piss poor.
As good as Gabby Garcia's?
Well, I don't think he even threw punches. He kind of just ran with like the E Honda attack, the 1,000 hand slaps, and he would like engulf Peter Arts and then take him down to the mat.
You know, Super Cal, where he's from, he said Somalian slap fighting is the national sport where he's from, and apparently it's a martial art, and maybe that's what they were going for. It wasn't bad striking technique. They were going for slap fighting.
No.
I
think it was bad technique on all ends. Anyways, that's not really news. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah, so
we got sidetracked before we even got started.
Oh yeah, but you know.
But I guess if we don't have a track, can we get sidetracked?
Yeah. There is no kind of plan here. I mean, I think people have figured that out if they've been. I mean, shit, it's been a year, huh? About a year since we started doing this thing.
Yeah, and now this is our first show here in 2016, and hopefully this year, builds upon the last, and we get better and better. And,
well-deserved obscurity and continued mediocrity, and always keep those goals obtainable because you don't want to be upset when they don't come true. But the big announcement that in the past week or so, actually it was today, McGregor Sports and Entertainment announces UFC 197 March 5th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. And I know some people took this McGregor Sports and Entertainment as kind of a joke. And right now, I think it is a joke. But fast forward 18 months, I don't think it is a joke. I think this guy is actually going to be a co-promoter.
Where was this?
On his official Facebook.
On his Facebook, huh?
Yeah. So the UFC, it was so weird. I mean, a good friend of ours, Jeremy Botter of Bleacher Report, I mean, he had this story 4 or 5 days ago, whatever it was. And for whatever reason, I still don't know. I think Dos Anjos was holding them up for money. I really, everything's pointing towards McGregor already had his deal in place after knocking out Aldo. He basically bet on himself, and if he won, then he was going to get this deal that he agreed with Lorenzo beforehand. I don't think it was McGregor holding things up because also McGregor has great respect for his fans, and all the Irish fans were just up in arms like, hey, we want to know where we need to buy our plane tickets. Is it because remember that rumor about Dallas? And yeah, so they were talking Dallas, and they were like, well, is it going to be in Vegas? Or, so I'm sure Connor wanted it out there. But where the hell was I going with that? Why?
What the hell am I supposed to know?
I think I'm the guy who gets the concussions or got a concussion.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, but it was a big controversy of why this wasn't announced. Oh, I remember where I was going with that. I was really surprised the way UFC announced it. I thought that they could announce it, during a football game.
Well, that was the plan. Apparently, that was the plan, right? I mean, that's what Jeremy Bonner had reported, I believe, who was on top of this story. I believe he's the one that reported that it was going to be announced during the football game. And then I believe there were other tweets saying, stay tuned 1 hour from now to Fox. Something big's going to be coming up. And then time came and it passed and we got nothing.
Yeah, so Conor McGregor's coach, John Kavanagh, said something like T-minus 1 hour. And then a couple hours later, he said something like false alarm, put away the red panties. I mean, I don't know if it was Fox not cooperating, like, hey, we're not going to plug your pay-per-view. I mean, this guy never fights on our network.
Well, but they've had no problem. Come on, that's not – I don't think that's even an issue.
Yeah, probably. Well, maybe it was a venue issue.
He did fight. He fought on their network last year, a year ago.
1 year ago he did. I mean, maybe it was a venue issue because, they had a Nevada Athletic Commission meeting this morning, and one of the things was – Premier Boxing Champions. They actually had the MGM for March 5th. It was going to be a guy named Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter, which is actually a really good boxing match. And they withdrew their request to stage that event at MGM, and then UFC, put in their request to stage as Conor McGregor. So it's possible that the UFC had to cough up some money to Al Heyman, Premier Boxing Champions, to get that date. So
yeah, maybe it's the money from Cowboy Cerrone, Nate Diaz, and Rafael dos Anjos from their Reebok fines. Maybe it's going to Al Heyman.
I'm going to write that down because I want to get back to the outfitting. They're calling it the outfitting fines, and to me, that's the biggest cop out. It's not outfitting; it's a goddamn uniform. But I wanted to get from you your. And not a final prediction, just some initial thoughts on the main event and the co-main event, Conor versus Dos Anjos, and then Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate.
Well, when you look on paper between Rafael dos Anjos and Conor McGregor, I think that most people are going to pick dos Anjos because they think that he has more tools, more well-rounded, has a better chance of winning the fight on the ground. But I really don't think that Conor's that far behind when it comes to the MMA game. This isn't going to be a grappling match. It's not going to be just a kickboxing fight. It's not just a boxing fight. It's, a combination of everything. And that changes the different skills and the different techniques that work in one sport. It changes when it comes over to MMA. And I think these two are pretty evenly matched. It's not as if Conor hasn't fought at 155 before. And granted, he hasn't fought the level of competition at 155 that Dos Anjos has, but he just defeated a man who hadn't been beaten in 30 fights or something in 13 seconds. So people are already kind of discounting Conor, and I just don't. I don't think that they should be doing that. I think that this is a very winnable fight for him. I think that Dos Anjos is very, very aggressive and leaves openings, and that's what Conor's best at exploiting. And right now, I think that Conor wins this fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's pretty impressive how he's such a precision striker. I mean, he's so freaking accurate. Reminds me a little bit of when Anderson was just killing people, and the punches didn't look all that devastating, but it landed exactly where it needed to land for the lights to go out.
Yeah, just this perfect timing, perfect placement of punches, and that is really what makes a big difference between somebody who hits hard and gets KOs and somebody who makes it look effortless like Conor McGregor does and Anderson Silva did in the past.
Yeah, and people questioning Conor going up to 55. Of course, Cage Warriors, he was a champion over there, but look what he did to Poirier. Poirier's a natural 55er, it seems like.
Yeah, and Poirier just defeated Joe Duffy, who a lot of people thought would end up being a title contender at 155. So Poirier is no joke. People, after Conor beat Poirier, a lot of people were still saying that Conor hadn't beaten anybody. And, I thought to myself, and these are the same people that are saying that Poirier looks great at 155. Well, he looked great at 145, too. It just so happens that Conor starched him like he has almost everybody else at this point.
Yeah, everybody except Max Holloway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a big future for that kid, only 24 years old. So, Holly Holm and Miesha Tate.
I mean, he's a big Jesus guy, right? So he'll probably end up popping positive for steroids soon.
You think Max Holloway?
No, I don't think so. But
is he religious? Is he as religious as Northcutt or
I don't know.
or Nate the Great?
Yeah. I mean, his nickname is Blessed or Blessed. Yeah. So I'm assuming he is religious.
So the co-main I've been throwing around.
He's got a nice pencil thin mustache too.
Yeah,
it's does. Like nobody has those anymore, unless you're like an artist. He should have an easel and a little cap on.
I'd like to see somebody bring back the Iron Sheik mustache. Is there anybody with the manliness, the machismo that could pull that
Tim
off?
Kennedy had a similar mustache a little bit for a while. But he looked more like Simon Gotch from the Vaudevillains.
Tim Kennedy, man. I mean, whenever somebody tests positive for steroids, the first Twitter account I go to is Tim Kennedy.
Yeah, well, he was fired today.
Oh, he was fired. I mean, to say he was fired up. I mean, I want to talk about that in a second, but
okay. Okay.
Holly Holm, Miesha Tate. But let me before you go. My theory is for Holly, Miesha Tate is a more difficult fight than Ronda Rousey.
I agree, and I've said that since whenever it was that Holly Holm won the belt. I thought that Miesha Tate presents different problems. I think she's more well-rounded as an MMA fighter than Ronda Rousey, although she clearly is not as dominant in one aspect as Rousey was, and she's not as dominant in one aspect as Holm is. However, she can make up ground with those other skills, and it'll be interesting to see if she can get Holly Holm down to the ground, because she's going to have a different stylistic attack than Ronda Rousey does. Ronda Rousey's going to be going for the clinch, not a lot of double legs. Hell, she never shoots a double leg. Can't do it, apparently.
Supposedly, her knees are so screwed up. Yeah.
Shoot the double. So Miesha Tate has no problem shooting and pressuring and pushing against the cage and getting the takedown. And she's a grinder. And that could, her experience and her experience on the big stage. Obviously, when Holm fought Ronda Rousey, that didn't affect her. But we saw that in her two previous fights a little bit. She wasn't as impressive. So I think that Miesha Tate has a shot at winning this fight. I don't know. It's just so tough to say after how good Holm looked against Rousey. She's riding a lot of momentum, and Miesha Tate is going to be coming off a 9-month layoff, I guess.
Yeah.
So and Holly Holm is having about 5-month turnaround, which is probably perfect. 9 is like a little long. 5 months is probably about perfect turnaround to get ready for a fight. So,
and there was somebody on the underground that posted a preview video. Well, it didn't really have Holly Holm in it, but it's called Miesha Cupcake Tate Miesha Bobisha.
Okay.
And it's and I'm actually I'll message you. How the fuck do I? Oh yeah, I'll message you the. And I actually tweeted it too. So take a look at it, and I think that's the promo video that they need to use for this fight. It'll sell it, man.
I mean, I'm good with the images they're showing right now. That's for sure.
I think they just need to stop right there. There's really nothing else that can add to it, right?
Yeah.
So that was courtesy. Let's give this guy his due. Where is this?
Woman Beat Me Up is his name there on YouTube.
That is YouTube. Well, the guy in the underground, his name is KJ explanation. Fuck that up.
Explanation. It's an explanation point. I can't say that.
Exclamation mark. KJ exclamation mark. He's the guy who brought it to my attention. So, yeah. So I think I'm going to call an upset with that. I think Miesha Tate is going to win that, and that's going to be perfect for the UFC. Because,
well, you're a Miesha Tate mark, so of course you think that.
I think I just kind of like looking at her. I think that you know when we were in Chicago after you won that fight, I actually talked to her for like a brief second. I could tell she wasn't too impressed.
Oh yeah? How often are girls impressed with you when they talk to you?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like I was like trying to hit on her. I was just saying hello, and it would.
Does she know who you were?
Yeah, she did because I was talking to Caraway for. And for like 10 minutes, and
oh yeah,
she wasn't too impressed with me. I didn't really think I had ever said anything, but I mean, you know me. I mean,
maybe she just wasn't impressed.
Yeah, a very good possibility of that. See, it's one of these things. Like most of the time, I remember if I ever said any shit about anybody, but then I'm like, oh, but what if they're friends with this person? I probably said something about them. And then I'm like, well, hey, fuck it. It was already said. You're just going to have to just roll with it. No taking it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
So, yeah, the aforementioned Tim Kennedy blew a gasket today on...
Well, I wonder why.
Yeah. So, Yoel Romero gets popped by USADA, and Stephen Morocco of MMA Junkie says a source tells him that it was... some sort of designer peptide. Now, peptide is, I don't want to, explain it because I have a very loose understanding. I don't want to be wrong about it. I'm going to wait for Larry Pepe to come out and talk about it, and then I'll just parrot whatever he says. But apparently, these peptides are quite popular in the bodybuilding world and now in sports.
Yeah, doesn't CM Punk have a tattoo of one of those on his arm or something?
I think that's Pepsi.
Oh, yeah. It appears that you're right. Sorry.
What is the story with the Pepsi? Is he does he like Pepsi or is it you lose?
I think he's straight edge, and somehow that is a symbol. I don't know. I don't want to misspeak on this.
Because it would seem weird to me that somebody who's straight edge and doesn't want to put anything harmful in their body would want to, promote PepsiCo. I think that's the official name of the company. I mean, it's the best stuff.
It's got like 1 million preservatives in it. I'm having a diet Pepsi right now.
Yeah, and there's some people that claim the diet stuff is worse than the regular because of the aspartame.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, I figure, shit. I mean,
I'm going to die anyways. If it's something, due to something I enjoy, that's better.
Yeah.
I don't want to die from some wreck or, get thrown from a horse or something. That would suck. You're telling me I can drink an assload of Pepsi and die? I'm in.
Yeah, it's funny. What was it? Last Sunday we were in Vegas, and we were joined by the legendary Chris Sturgill. And
was that last Sunday?
Was it, or was it Sunday before?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, the Sunday before. The legendary Chris Sturgill was there. And Ryan McKinnell of Yahoo.
Yeah, I actually heard that he was the home of WCW Hog Wild. Sturgill? Yeah.
Yeah,
he is so large that they had the entire show on him. And all the bikers. The biker rally was there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was around Sturgill for 4 days, and we got to get this guy on one of these shows. He's a very interesting guy. In 4 days, I saw him eat twice. And that was like at my encouragement. I was like, hey, man, I don't want to see you in a bad way or, do something stupid.
Well, what were you guys doing? You weren't even like gambling or?
Yeah, we were just drinking and watching the bowl games.
Jesus.
So, yeah, he wasn't eating. And, but
did you guys share a room?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One bed?
Come on, 2 beds. But that was one of the reasons why I wanted him to eat, because I was like, I don't want this guy sick, and...
Yeah, or what if he, drank so much he died? like Jimi Hendrix style.
Yeah, and then there's some investigation around internet
FRB.
character Front Row Brian involved in murder in Las Vegas.
Just be lucky it's not in Manitowoc County. Be screwed.
Yeah.
No WrestleMania for you this year.
Did you see the tweet that I tagged you in that some wrestler made a shirt of Avery's nephew and say, "I just want to go to WrestleMania"?
Oh, I didn't see it. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to buy that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just because I remember.
I'm gonna have to buy that. That's a good one.
Yeah, Sturgill was just like, he was marking out. He thought that was the coolest thing ever, that the guy wanted to go to WrestleMania. He's like, if I admit to murdering and raping a woman, can I go to WrestleMania? Will you get me out of here?
Yeah,
So-
I think I remember. I think I figured out. I think it was like WrestleMania 21 or 22 or 23. It's somewhere in there. I think
Yeah.
it was 22. But anyways,
But the reason I bring up that story was McKinnell was there and Danny Acosta. And McKinnell, and I totally agreed with him. The hardest thing to kick, like for a few months I had energy drinks, and then one day I decided these energy drinks suck. I don't want to have another one, and I haven't had one for like 3 years. But there's been so many times when I'm like,
congratulations, by the way.
there's been so many times, and I never want to stop drinking beer. Fuck that. But I would like to curtail my intake of pop or soda or Coca-Cola, Pepsi, etc. But that shit is really tough to fucking kick.
Yeah,
And I have the real deal. I don't do the diet stuff. If it's diet, I'd say water instead.
cool.
So are you kind of addicted to it too?
What? Why are we talking about this?
Well, I mean,
What? I want to talk about goddamn Pepsi.
a lot of people that listen to this want to know,
They
about
don't.
health and high fructose corn syrup. And
It's terrible for you. I'm drinking the biggest diet Pepsi you've ever seen. It's awful for me. I'm going to keep doing it. I probably have like a hole in my stomach somewhere from it. I don't know.
yeah, well, I guess I was using it as filler because I really don't know what to say about Romero's peptides accusation.
Well, we'll find out more when they actually release what happens. And, hey, maybe, who knows? Maybe it's a false positive. Maybe he didn't test positive. Maybe the smell test, the Jeff Nowitzki smell test doesn't always work.
But
But I bet it does.
one thing I was reading about the peptides and made perfect sense for Romero was your body weight decreases while your muscle mass increases. And I'm just, well, yeah, that's Romero's physique. I mean, this guy's like carved out of granite and can get down to 185, and he's like 6 foot.
Yeah. So what happens now? That's a no contest as well.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends what Nevada wants to do, but I thought their new rules say that that's a loss. It's not a no contest.
It's a loss for him, and it's a no contest for Jacare.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. So where does this leave the middleweight division? I think you got to go straight to Rockhold versus Weidman too.
Yeah, I think so. As well. If Romero didn't test positive or doesn't, then you can make a case for a Romero Rockhold, and I would actually book that fight first, and have Weidman fight somebody else. Maybe have Weidman fight Jacare, and then have the winners fight.
But Romero he fucked up big time. I mean, I think he was gonna get that shot just because it was too soon for Weidman and Rockhold. People don't want to see that. You can't justify Vitor getting a shot. So, just roll Romero out there, talk about his Olympic credentials, beating Cale Sanderson in wrestling and all these devastating finishes. And I know
give Cuban coffee to all the patrons at the events, butter them up.
Yeah, cigars and such. And I mean, I know he stood to make 3.5 times more than he had ever made in his career for that title fight with Rockhold. He wasn't going to be on the pay-per-view, but he had a pretty nice base salary, if he challenged for the title. So,
well, it doesn't look like it's happening now.
Yeah, he's done for at least 2 years, right?
Yeah, yep. And in the immortal words of Bill Goldberg, who's next?
And then also, kind of related to that a little bit, I talked a little bit before about the commission hearing today. Nick Diaz has settled with the Nevada Athletic Commission, and it's basically an 18-month suspension from the what was that, UFC 183, Super Bowl weekend of 2015. So go back 18 months. He'll be able to fight this summer. He also had to pay $50,000. And
that was 100.
Oh, was it 100?
I thought it was 100,000, but
okay,
could be wrong.
Okay, I could be wrong about that. And the commission admits no wrongdoing. That Diaz, in the paperwork, Jeremy Botter, I think, will be releasing an article because he was at the hearing. He has the actual settlement. They actually gave it out. And it says that Diaz admits that he wrongfully exercised his Fifth Amendment right.
Whatever.
So it sounds like the commission was just like, well, we're going to cut a deal here, but we don't want to look bad. We don't want somebody walking in here and trying the same thing that you did and have this whole shit show, people writing to Obama and fucking Cher tweeting about free Nick Diaz. I mean, you could tell this is a pretty big black mark on this commission.
Yeah, well, it should be. The whole thing's ridiculous. You've got conflicting tests, exorbitant penalties. It's just the entire situation is embarrassing, and they really should do something. This wasn't the right way to rectify it. I mean, it's better than what they did do, but they should have come clean and admitted their own wrongdoing, and their own the fallacies that exist within their testing procedures and policies, instead of putting all the blame on Nick Diaz. Does not, and I'm sure they're not even concerned about this, but it doesn't make them look good in the eyes of me as a fighter.
Well, they're essentially they think they're infallible, and I guess it's going to take some shakeup at the governor's office, because the governor, from what I understand, personally appoints these people to the board, to the commission. So
Really?
I don't think there's any hope for any kind of. I mean, that's why, like, when this first happened, people started bitching to the governor's office, and I think it's this guy Brian Sandoval. Could be wrong. I think he's a Republican, and basically, one of his minions basically came out and said, well, in other words, we're not going to do anything about it, because if he did go after them, he'd basically be, selling himself out that he appointed a bunch of losers that don't know how to do their job.
Yeah, well, corruption continues up the ladder in many cases. So.
But also, so this is a pretty newsworthy hearing. So the other thing that they're doing, and I think people really need to get behind this movement, a new movement, is free Vanderlei Silva. They're holding this guy's career hostage. He did say he's retired, but I can't believe if you give him the right match, he's going to say, I want to fight again. So basically, they gave him a lifetime ban. And then it went to a higher.
Well, but listen. When it comes to Vanderlei, if he's going to fight again, I think it's going to be in Japan. I think he should just go over there and do it.
But here's the thing, Tom. He has United States-based assets. So if you're dealing with the Attorney General of the state of Nevada. They can put liens on his property.
That's ridiculous.
So he's got to figure out a way to get liquidize the property, or put it in, do some creative accounting. But I think that's the reason, because
do some Hoist Gracie style accounting.
yeah, he's got a Swiss bank account just like Mitt Romney. But
and Cesaro.
Yeah, man, Gracie must have had somebody pull the strings, because from what I understand, you can't just go to Switzerland and say, I want to open up a bank account. Essentially, you have to be, like, invited. You have to be invited into this exclusive
It's Hoist Gracie.
Yeah, I guess he had somebody do that for him. But I mean, with Vanderlei, I think his attorney wants this to go to the Nevada Supreme Court, and I mean, I think any sensible court would say a lifetime ban is absurd. He didn't fail the test. He ran from it.
Do you remember when Brock Lesnar left the WWE the first time, and he went and wrestled in Japan?
Right.
Do you remember this? And the no compete clause didn't hold up. The court said that it was bullshit. We also just had Rampage get into this dispute with Bellator and the UFC back and forth about whether he was under contract, whether he was released, whether he could fight for the UFC, what the deal was. And they couldn't stop him from fighting in the UFC when he has a contract. So, I mean, I just don't see where the no-compete clause holds up anywhere. It's just people aren't willing to challenge it.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs from a legal aspect, but I mean, why wouldn't he have been on that Rising card? I mean, that would have been awesome. See him back in Japan all gimmicked up. With these nonsensical, rambling YouTube videos that he puts out.
Well, I think it boils down to him being suspended. Like you said, I think it has to do with that, not so much him being under contract with the UFC. So if he can get rid of the suspension somehow, then he'd probably be free to fight again.
So you think his bigger issue is with the state of Nevada and not UFC?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to ask, because I think United States legal and Japan have a good relationship. Like, they respect each other's laws, and contracts mean something. But the U.S. and China or the U.S. and Russia, it doesn't mean the paper. It doesn't mean anything. They can't do anything about it. I don't know enough from a legal standpoint to really say, but I really hope that, one of the things that's not helping Vanderlei is he refuses to show up for the hearings. So Pat Lundvall's all pissed off. So
yeah,
I just hope it gets kicked up to the Supreme Court. He gets to put his case out there, and they can strike down this ridiculous lifetime ban, which it has been struck down, but by that higher, I don't know if it's a circuit court or what the term for it is in Nevada, but I'd like to see Vanderlei fight. I'd like to see you fight him.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen, but
well, who the hell knows? You win a couple more fights, you start building your name, and they want to put him in there with somebody.
They're forced to have him fight me.
Yeah. So, speaking of another legend of the sport, BJ Penn making some news today and tweeting some pictures, and it looks like he's joined Jackson Winklejohn MMA in Albuquerque, and he's training for a comeback.
Yeah, it's like, what? I still don't get it. Hold on. Can you say that again? Explain this to me.
BJ Penn put up on Instagram a picture with him and Greg Jackson saying, "Dana White, we're coming for you." I don't know. Is BJ going to fight Dana, or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we're finally going to get the a showdown. Maybe they'll have a show on FS1, a countdown show, and then BJ and Dana can fight.
Yeah,
much like Dana was going to fight Tito back in the day.
And then there was a female fighter at Jackson's, a Hawaiian girl. I forget her name, but she put up a picture saying, "Welcome to the gym, BJ. It's it's awesome that you're going to be training with us or whatever." So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but
we'll see. We'll see if he comes out with a rod up his ass again, like he did when he was fighting Frankie Edgar last time.
Oh man, he looks so horrible. But so many people on Twitter, I saw them. They're like, "Yeah, this would have been awesome in 2005."
Yeah.
It's like,
hey, you never know. You never know what he has left in the tank, or stranger things have happened.
I wish he'd go to
combat sports, no less. I mean, look at the heavyweight division in the UFC. Up until a week ago, it was everybody, populating the top was, like 35 or older.
Yeah, I think the only younger guy that was in that top 10 was Miocic. I think he was 32. And then, maybe Overeem was 35.
Yeah, think about that. Overeem's a young gun in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Matt
But
Mitrione's close to being a young gun too.
yeah, I looked up Mitrione. He's 37.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is Travis Brown?
33.
Huh. Well,
and speaking of Travis Brown, his divorce was finalized today. So if he's eligible to walk down the aisle with Miss Rousey, if
he become Mr. Rousey.
Yeah, he can become Mr. Rousey, and that'll be his third marriage by the age of 33. That's
impressive.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, that is impressive. I'd like to extend my gratitude and congratulations towards him for that amazing thing.
So, Ariel Helwani put out something saying that, this USADA testing program, it really wasn't in full gear last year. Like, they're going to do 3 times as many tests this year as they were on pace to do in a full year last year. So it's only ramping up right now.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to show up here at my house.
So they haven't shown up once?
No. I don't think I'm high on their radar, though.
Well,
they can show up whenever. I don't give a... I mean, they can test me whenever they want.
Who is the guy who, like sent them an email and said, hey, I'm going to be here on this date. I just want to let you know. And they got back to him. They're like, yeah, you're not in the UFC anymore. And they hadn't even told.
That just happened. But no, okay, so because I think Dave was right about that on the Wrestling Observer. He basically, his contract was up, so he wasn't in the database, but he hadn't been cut. He just hadn't signed a new contract.
Oh, so he's not cut from the UFC.
I think that's what the case was. If we're talking about the same guy, if we're thinking about the same guy, then yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe he's signed with somebody else by now. I don't know. I think that's the gist of it.
Yeah. Just so much friggin' news coming out today. Just one last thing before we talk a little bit about the fight card on Sunday. Kevin Iole came out with an article about Ronda Rousey, basically confirming kind of what we knew, that Ronda Rousey would not be fighting in July. They kind of blamed it all on the movie commitments and also the fact that she's done a lot for the company, doing a lot of public relations stuff, and she's never said no to the company in 3 years or whatever. So Uncle Dana was so nice to give her some time off. So it's time off, but I mean, if it's going to be like 80% filming movies, how much are you going to improve? Because usually fighters, they make the real improvements between the actual camps. The camps are to get ready for the fight. The improvements should happen in between those 8-week camps.
Yeah, well, I don't know what her filming schedule is on these movies, but it's very possible that she could be filming and also hitting mitts and working on her striking in the downtime there on the set. That'd be one of the easiest things to do on set, I would imagine. So I'm sure she's able to sneak in some training here and there. But yeah, like you said, I mean, this time right now, if she's planning on fighting Holly Holm at any time in the near future, her time right now should be spent on improving her skills, not filming movies. But hey, she's got a lot more money than me, and she's way more famous, so who am I to give her advice?
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I would try to pump up your ego a little bit, but she does have a lot of money. But she might have a lot less. There's a hearing coming up in February. I'm
not so much sure she has a better ass than me either.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. But there's a hearing coming up in February. It's a closed door hearing. It's a retired federal judge who will make a determination about her and her former manager, Darren Harvey, and some of the financial reparations that she might have to make to Darren. Darren, he invested about $300,000 into Ronda to get her from cocktail waitressing to, being a full-time MMA fighter. So, she could be considerably less in the pocket, if they determine that, she owes him that money plus a percentage of her pay-per-view money.
Yeah, and she just got levied with a lawsuit that claims she was born a man. You see that?
Yeah, it was a handwritten
What
lawsuit.
the fuck was that?
Yeah, I mean, I hope the first thing she did was get a restraining order against that guy.
Yeah, I think whoever wrote that probably missed WrestleMania due to being in jail too.
Yeah, that's
If you catch my drift.
scary. It's scary. There's what other claims did that guy make in it? That she was born a man and she did something else. Like
I don't know.
it was ridiculous.
Well, I mean, at least she's not smearing blood on guys' windows, nightclub windows, and getting arrested for it. That would be terrible.
Yeah, Juliana Vania. I saw that video. And it was so funny, man.
Or as Vinny Magalhaes likes to refer to her, Fallon Fox.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a resemblance, but dude, it was so funny. The cop is like, so apparently she took the the bar owner's cell phone as well as kicking him in the nuts, and the cop goes, because she's yelling at them saying, "Oh, you got nothing better to do" or something. He's like, "Yeah, you're right. Right now, I don't have anything better to do. You're it." And she says, "That's ridiculous." And so he goes, "You're also being charged with theft." And she, in a drunken voice, just goes, "Whatever." I'm just like, that's fucking comedy. Like, you're also assault and theft. Whatever. So then this is all recorded because it's on the camera on the officer. And he goes over to the bar owner and is like, "Do you want a charger for theft of your Samsung Galaxy?" Which he actually got back. And he's like, "Nah, assault's enough." She kicked him twice in the nuts.
In the nuts. Yeah, unbelievable. That's the worst. For any of the female listeners out there, I don't even know why I should bother saying that. Never mind.
I don't think we have any of those. So,
no.
So the officer asked him, like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, it happened about 10 minutes ago, but it wasn't one kick, it was two. She hit him twice."
Oh, man, that reminds me. Tonight, I was teaching a class, and we're doing live takedowns at the end, and I get a takedown, and I go to, like, limp arm out of a whizzer to go behind a guy, and I limp arm so hard that when I brought my hand back, nut shotted myself. It was the most embarrassing thing. It was so bad. I finished the takedown in that round. But then after that, I had to take a break. I limp-armed so hard into my own limp dick that I had to sit out.
And how long did it take for you to recover?
It was just like one of those quick nut shots, where you take 30 seconds or so, and then you're back in there.
Yeah, so this is
maybe you haven't taken that many nut shots. I don't know.
I always thought, like when I was playing baseball, like even if you were wearing a cup and you got hit there directly, it wouldn't get you immediately.
Oh, it hurts like hell.
But it's one of those delayed reactions. Like 30 seconds later, you're ready to throw up. Like even if you're wearing a cup. Yeah,
it hurts bad. Remember when there was that time that Gabriel Gonzaga nutshotted Chris Tucher?
I was at that fight. It was in Portland.
Yeah, I drew an amazing depiction of that in Microsoft Paint, which I think maybe you can Google it and find the picture somewhere. I drew a picture of that and a picture of Kyle Maynard getting punched.
Oh, the guy with no arms and no legs?
Yeah. If anybody has those pictures, please tweet them out.
I don't know what they showed on camera when Tucher fought Gonzaga, but he dry heaved like 5 or 6 times in the cage, and I thought there was absolutely no chance that fight was going to continue.
Why would he get up and continue that fight? Just no one's going to call you a pussy. Then he got his ass beat after that.
Yeah, it was like Gonzaga just like totally just fucking killed him. I mean, it was.
Yeah, he should have just taken the loss or taken the nut shot and taken the no contest. Or whatever would have happened.
Yeah, well, I think it was so egregious. It should have been a fucking disqualification, and Tucher should have won.
Yeah, I also like there was the two fights between it was like Thiago Santos or something and Eric Prindle, where both fights ended by nut shot in Bellator.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was funny.
That should have been feud of the year.
And then Prindle, like people were questioning whether he actually was injured, and he put on Twitter a picture of his balls. You remember that? I was just like,
yeah,
that takes a high level of commitment.
Yeah, it was him. I think maybe it was Prindle threw an axe kick right in the first fight and like broke the other guy's pelvis, but they called it a nut shot. So really, it was like a legal shot because you know you can throw an axe kick, which is the dumbest fucking thing going.
Unless you're Shogun,
you can't stop. So he threw the well. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I know in Florida, I haven't been. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can axe kick, right?
I've never heard a rule against it.
Yeah, which is bizarre, but anyways. Yeah, and then the next fight, the guy did like the lamest little kick from open guard, but it was directly in the dick, like right up the taint, and they stopped the fight. So.
What fight was that?
That was Prindle and Santos 2, I think.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, yeah. I thought we were still on Portland when Nate the Great Marquardt knocked out Demian Maia when he just kind of jumped up in the air right in front of him, and Marquardt just.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things that we mentioned before.
Yeah. So it was an axe kick. It was Prindle threw an axe kick and crushed Santos's balls.
Wow. Yeah. So you want to be a fucking fighter, huh?
Yeah.
So one of the things that we mentioned before was the outfitting fines and outfitting. I say that with my finger says parentheses because it's complete bullshit. Because what they mean is uniform penalties. They didn't wear the proper uniform, and the reason they won't use that term is because there's some legal ramifications of having an independent contractor wear a uniform. So they call it a kit or an outfit. Yeah. So who are the three guys that got fined?
Nate Diaz, Cowboy Cerrone, and Rafael Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos got fined for wearing an Evolve shirt, I believe, at the weigh-ins. Nate Diaz got fined for wearing jeans to the weigh-ins, and Cowboy got fined for having his own patch sewed onto his Reebok shorts and wearing those. To which he replied that he will continue to do it in the future, and they said if he does it again, he won't be able to fight.
So, now, what does that patch represent?
I think it has something to do with his grandmother. I didn't read too much about it, but I guess he's had it on all of his fights, you know.
Yeah, and his grandparents are a huge part of his life. I think he said that basically they bankrolled his entire career at the beginning when he wasn't really making much money, and but bought him that ranch in New Mexico and did all kinds of things for him. So yeah, I mean that's funny. So Diaz cannot wear jeans, and Dos Anjos wearing the Evolve shirt. I kind of thought that was a bit egregious, but knowing the funds that the Evolve owner Chatri has, I'm pretty sure he covered it for him.
Yeah. Well,
Chatri's background is Harvard Business School, Wall Street, and then moved back to Singapore. So I'm sure he's got that money. He's got that
plenty of money in Singapore.
There sure are. He's got that fuck money. I was talking to Ben Askren about Singapore, and I was like, just out of curiosity, I checked the real estate market out there. And, there were hundreds upon hundreds. I mean, this is a very small country. There were hundreds upon hundreds of real estate properties over $50 million. And I'm not talking about huge compounds. 50 million USD. I'm not talking about huge compounds. I'm talking like maybe a 5,000 square foot home. I mean, just things are so out of whack. I don't know how where the fuck do they get the money?
It's a big banking center. I mean, that's how the country was founded. It's just very business and bank friendly. And, basically it's kind of like the formula that the UAE tried to copy.
Right.
for businesses. So it's like a really good economic zone in the middle of an area which is not known for having high prices.
Yeah,
It's so bizarre that it's in that region of the world. It's right next to like Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and those are all very cheap countries.
Cambodia, that they only figured out how to do a live television transmission within the past 2 years. One of the guys,
awesome.
when I was in Singapore, the PR director over there, Lauren Mack, was telling me about who actually used to work for Zuffa. He was telling me about the show in Cambodia, and they said that the one championship show was the first live sports broadcast from Cambodia in the history of Cambodia. They just didn't have the technological infrastructure to do a live event until
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's
think about it.
All these developing economies. I mean, there's still some abject poverty, but
North Korea is another one.
Great
place.
I think North Korea is fucked. I've
never heard anybody from there say a bad thing about it.
There's another country that, for Ben's next fight, I can't really say, but I'll tell you off the air. But man, most people never even heard of it, and it's just another one of these Southeast Asian developing economies.
My guess would be Myanmar.
So, dude, are we done talking about the outfitting?
Yeah. Hey, I just guessed a country over there, so
it's a country.
I got no inside info.
Yeah, it's a country in Southeast Asia. But so this card coming up on Sunday, UFC on FS1, Cruz versus Dillashaw. I've been telling people that Dillashaw is going to defend his title, and almost everybody, you'd swear there's a 15-1. Cruz is a 15-1 favorite. Everybody's been telling me Cruz is going to kill him. What do you think, Tom?
I think Cruz wins.
5-round decision?
4th round stoppage.
Really?
Yes.
Because all right, so you look at Cruz's record. I mean, he beat Mizugaki, UFC 178. That's when Conor fought Dustin Poirier, and then you have to go back to 2011. He fought Moose Johnson, and then of course Faber, Jorgensen, Benavidez twice, and Brian Bowles. I mean, there's a name from the past, and I think he's incarcerated right now for a myriad of drug problems, crystal methamphetamine, whatever. He used to be a fun guy to watch, and hopefully that guy, kind of gets his act together. It seemed like he got injured a few times. He kept breaking his hand, and then his life just unraveled. But pretty amazing that at one point, they called Miguel Torres the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Bowles knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah. Bowles looked killer there for a little while before he kept breaking his hand, and then he was just gone.
Yeah, he disappeared, and I guess just got deep into drugs and shit, and now he's really at a low point. So hopefully things improve for Brian Bowles, but. Dillashaw's record, of course, everybody knows, beat up Renan Barão twice, a guy who hadn't lost in a decade, a guy that I thought, would rule that division for another 4 or 5 years, maybe win another 10 fights in a row. He also beat Joe Soto. Everybody knows Soto didn't deserve that title shot. It was just because of the circumstance of it. Really, the other fight, not that many fights ago, he lost to Rafael Assunção.
Yeah, but clearly he's looked, his best recently in the past few years, and he's still relatively young. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility to see big improvements on a fight-to-fight basis. So, I'm not surprised that Dillashaw's looked great, and I'm sure his skill set's improved a lot. I just don't think that he's. Barão, it's not to say he hasn't beaten the same kind of competition that Cruz has, because Barao is more than a formidable opponent, but just the rest of his defenses haven't inspired me. His last performance, he looked great, obviously defeating Barao, but I don't know. I just feel like Cruz, there's something there that he is the champion in that weight class. He never lost the belt, and I think in his mind, he really believes that he's a champ, and I think he's going to be able to take control of this fight. I think he's got more tools as well.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, too, I mean, the war of words, I mean, not that it means anything, but...
Well, there's only one guy talking. So.
Yeah, I mean, Cruz has really made Dillashaw just look like a complete moron.
It's a one-sided war.
Yeah, and you could tell...
Much like the French and Indian War.
Right. You could tell, Cruz is kind of an intellectual. I mean, I don't know how smart he is, but he's not a dummy. Whereas Dillashaw just kind of comes across as the jock. Not too intelligent. I mean, he could be intelligent. I have no idea. I'm just saying what the perception is. What's interesting about this fight, Tom? Dominic Cruz has been away forever, right? He's 30. Dillashaw's 29. They're basically the same age.
Wait, what? Dominic Cruz is 30?
Yeah, he's 30.
Holy shit.
And Dillashaw's 29. I mean, if somebody would have asked me, I'd say, yeah, Dillashaw's probably about 5 years younger than Cruz. If somebody would have asked me right off the top of my head, but I looked it up. I scribbled down some notes, before we record here, and I was kind of surprised to see that.
Yeah, well, I guess, Cruz has been a staple of these lighter weight classes for a long time, throughout his time in the WEC and also into the UFC. So he's been around for a long time, and he's, obviously gotten a lot of airtime because he's one of the best analysts that the UFC has, probably maybe the best when it comes to not being in the booth, but being behind the desk as a, what are those, like the pre-shows or post-shows. He's a great, post-show analyst. So he gets a lot of airtime. So, it just seems like he's been everywhere for a long time. And I guess he has. He's just not that old.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody at Fox, and supposedly he'll be starting to get in the rotation, to be commentating live events, to be opposite Anik or... he was in the main event for the Cerrone Dos Anjos fight, but that lasted, a minute long. So he didn't really get a chance to showcase his skills there. That was a starching. But the co-main event is a pretty intriguing one. Anthony Pettis, coming back from a one-sided beatdown from Dos Anjos last March in Dallas, fighting Eddie Alvarez, who himself is coming off a split decision victory over Gilbert Melendez, and then it came out that Gilbert Melendez tested positive for elevated levels of testosterone, and I think that happened in mid-June, and then a lot of these new guidelines for suspensions happened July 1st. So he was like the luckiest dude that he got caught in June. So he got 1 year instead of 2 years. So and then prior to that, Alvarez had a kind of disappointing debut against Donald Cerrone. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, I think that Alvarez wins. He's only been knocked out once. He has a TKO loss of strikes to Nick Thompson, who was fighting up at 170 years ago.
The GOAT.
But I just don't. I don't think Pettis is going to be able to put him away. I think he's just too tough for Pettis.
Yeah, I mean, I know Eddie has been training up in New Jersey for this fight with Frankie Edgar. And also one of his former foes has been out in Jersey quite a bit, Michael Chandler. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think, not being in South Florida will really – I don't know if he ever really meshed too much with Henry Hooft.
Yeah, it seems like, he was doing some of his best work before he made that transition down to the Black Zillions. It wasn't as if he was a different fighter really either way. So, perhaps going back up to a place where it feels more comfortable living has allowed him to, have better training, and he can relax more and, work on his game in different ways than he was able to in Florida. And I think he'll pull out this fight.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with Pettis on this. I think Pettis' striking attack is just a bit more diversified. The toughness, that you brought up, certainly have to go with Alvarez.
How about his eyebrow game? It's on point.
Yeah. Who was the guy who came up with the line? Oh, maybe it was Nurmagomedov said, like, maybe if you trained as much as you get haircuts or something. Mm-hmm. Or something like that. It's like that's a funny joke. But I'm looking on Twitter here. Did John Wood just call you gay?
Yeah.
Oh, because
it's not true.
You're talking about the St. Louis Rams are now your second favorite team, and John Wood.
Chargers still have a shot as well.
So that's gay. Chargers are still in the running.
Well, yeah, they could still move to L.A.
But behind your beloved Patriots, right?
Yeah.
Of
course.
All right, so you're going with Eddie Alvarez. I'll ride with Anthony Pettis on this one, but I wouldn't be shocked. Pettis is one of these guys that look.
Are you ever really shocked by fights at this point?
No,
I mean
after you see enough.
Does the result of a fight ever shock you? Perhaps the manner in which the fight plays out, but the result, nah.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
You won't be surprised if Alvarez wins or if Pettis wins.
Yeah,
or probably anybody else on the show, really. So.
Yeah, and the last fight on the card that I want to talk about was Travis Brown versus Mitrione. So, Brown comes into this coming off one of the most exciting fights of 2015 against Andrei Arlovski, and he was on the losing end of that, although, there were moments there where Arlovski could have been put away just as easily. And
yeah, we were live. We were live at that show, remember?
Oh,
we were watching it, freaking out.
Yeah, UFC 187. Yep.
Actually, you were probably in line getting a drink.
It's funny. It's funny you bring that up because I just remembered I did watch that while I was standing on the concourse getting a drink. See? And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
I can't wait to get back to the seat and talk about this with people.
It's funny how you remember these little things while you're about 10 beers deep.
Yeah.
But Mitrione's coming off a loss to Rothwell. Was that when Rothwell, did that promo?
Yep.
And Anik, and I can't blame Anik. He's not a pro wrestling guy. He didn't. If it was Mauro Ranallo, he wouldn't have followed up on it. He would have been like, yeah, that's great. Let's leave it at that.
Well, he was probably getting yelled at by the TV producers.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the problem with, the producers. I mean, so the guy goes into this very funny, this great character, cuts a really cool promo, and now they expect him, okay, can you flip the switch and go back to regular Ben Rothwell? It's like, guys, no, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Mitrione.
Yeah. So how do you see these guys? Brown's got to be one of the most hated. He's got to have the most heat of any fighter on this card, or maybe that's fighting, in the next while here. I mean, he's kind of turned into, a public enemy. I don't know if he has any fans left. This whole thing with Ronda Rousey and the wife.
A public enemy? Is he like Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge?
Yeah. Both of those guys are dead now, I think. So I think there's a lot of pressure on this guy because what people like me are going to say if Mitrione knocks him out. Start talking about the distractions of Ronda and Coach Edmond being a shitty coach and.
It could happen. Both guys have holes defensively when it comes to their striking. And Mitrione, based on his last fight, you would have to say that his game planning needs a little bit of help. But I think that, I think the whole situation with Ronda Rousey has not been good for anybody involved. And I think it's going to hurt Travis Brown here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That it'll hurt him. I still think Brown's skill set is enough to overcome Mitrione. I mean, let's remember Brown.
Let me put it this way: I like Matt Mitrione enough that I wouldn't pick Travis Brown to beat him.
Right. I gotcha. So wait, say that again. Who are you picking?
Mitrione.
Okay, you're gonna go with Mitrione.
I'm going with my heart. I like Matt Mitrione.
Oh, okay. He's your buddy.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, I talk to him intermittently.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know Matt Mitrione. He seems like a funny guy. He's always he's like Tim Kennedy. He's always going crazy on Twitter about something.
Yeah, he is. He's a fun guy. He's a fun be around. He actually, before he told that Fallon Fox joke that got him a bunch of heat, The Office, he had fought in Sweden, and I was fighting on that same show, and me and Tim Burrell were eating breakfast at the hotel one morning, and Mitrione comes over, and he's like, and this is right after I think we had been listening to Goodbye Horses, which is the song from Silence of the Lambs, which is the song I walked out to for that fight. But Mitrione comes over, he's like, hey guys, I want to run this joke by you. And we're like, all right. And he's like, are you familiar with Silence of the Lambs? And we're like, you got to be shitting me. So then he, told us wherever the joke was. We were like, oh yeah, man, that's, we liked it. We're like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I'd go with that. And then a couple of days later, he tells it on Helwani's show and got suspended or fined or something.
Hey, it's funny that you bring that up because the New York Times picked up an article about the home where Buffalo Bill, where his home in Silence of the Lambs,
being sold.
Yeah, it's a town called Layton, Pennsylvania, and it's getting a ton of traffic, and because people are just going on Realtor.com and they want to look at it and I guess compare it to what they remember from the movie. But no one will buy it. So the price since last August has dropped $50,000, and the asking price now is $250,000. And for that, you can get Buffalo Bill's home.
That's not bad. That'd be pretty cool.
In the Silence of the Lambs. Now, do they have the
well?
The well where you put the lotion or you get the hose again? Is that a shoot?
I don't know. Why don't you look it up?
Hey, later. That also reminds you. There was a funny joke that Gina Carano put on her Instagram.
Oh yeah,
and it's something about you put the Reebok on or you get the hose, and it's Dane.
That's a good one.
Yeah, allegedly she deleted it. I guess. I guess she upset some people, but it was just kind of out of nowhere because she's a movie star now, and she usually doesn't get involved in the the little.
Another
news.
Somewhat related story is the rumors that Chandler Jones had to be treated for prescription pill overdose or something on Sunday morning.
Yeah, well, I think that's been confirmed now by some pretty legitimate outlets that. Yeah, got gimmicked up, and I guess I don't know the whole story. I don't know if his first reaction was, "Oh, the cops can help me," and then they'll get me to the hospital, or who was with him. I don't know.
Maybe you got some advice from Aaron Hernandez. I don't know.
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez. Oh God. Yeah, so it's one of those things. Hopefully, it's just. Because I know Chandler's been going through some injuries. I know I don't follow the NFL that closely, but whenever I see the injury report for the Patriots, I always kind of, because he's John's brother, and the few times that I've met him,
and he's really good player.
Yeah, he's a great player, and the few times that I've met him, he doesn't know who the hell I am. But he's really nice to me, so I always kind of like, I try to see what he's up to. And I see that, he had a couple injuries, like a hip injury, a toe injury. I'm hoping that, this painkiller gimmick, is just a temporary thing. And, it's not something that is a long-term problem for him.
Yeah, I hope that's the case as well. John Jones is a nice guy, too.
He is, yeah. A lot of people, John's not perfect. I mean,
He's not a saint.
yeah,
Or
he's not
nobody
a
is, so.
he's not a saint, and sometimes he tries to put forward this act to try to please everybody when really he should just try to be John Jones. And some people will like him, and then some people will say he's arrogant, and fill in the blank.
But they're doing that anyways.
Yeah. So, but I mean, when he comes back, he's going to be the biggest baby face. I mean, he's been very contrite, and he says he's sorry, but he's still got that kind of heel. When Ariel was interviewing him, he still kind of got on Dana and got on the Nevada Commission, and John's one of those guys, man. He doesn't forget anything. I mean, he'll hold a grudge.
Yeah. I like him. I think he's great for the sport. Most talented fighter it's ever seen. So yeah, and he's got a personality. I mean, it may not be the one you want him to have, but he's got one.
Well, I mean, put it this way: how many people were talking about Daniel Cormier before he fought John Jones?
Well, I was.
Yeah,
watched
people weren't
UFC.
going out of their way to see a Daniel Cormier fight before John Jones was put in the equation.
Well, I mean, those of us that knew what was going on were.
You can make the argument that Daniel Cormier helped John Jones a lot. I mean, John Jones was doing some pay-per-views like with Glover, Teixeira, not too many pay-per-view buys, and now comes this outspoken, Daniel Cormier.
Yep.
Who, I mean, on paper, yeah, he had a pretty damn good shot at beating. I mean, if anybody's going to beat John Jones, it's going to be Cormier, at least at 205.
Yeah. I mean, and that fight was good. I mean, it was a good fight. Cormier was able to do some things that other people haven't been able to do to John Jones, and I thought it was an enjoyable fight to watch.
Yeah, and also surprised, John Jones was able to take Daniel Cormier down.
Yep, and I think he actually, despite the fact it was a contested decision by some, I think the fact that Cormier had such a great fight with Gustafsson will help.
Yeah, that was a good fight. Yeah, Gustafsson, man, he always has these great fights. He just
apparently he's
not a
back
closer
in California training again.
Oh, really? At Alliance?
I would imagine so. Could be wrong.
I mean, I don't know if there's anything wrong with his training. I mean, there's just going to be some guys who, they just can't get to that summit.
Well, maybe he's just back here for vacation.
Yeah,
San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, hanging out in San Diego is probably fun. I mean, this time of the year, unless you're into skiing, Switzerland probably not. No, he's Swedish, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wrong country. Do they ski there too, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you get the point.
I've been there twice. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
All those Nordic countries are great. Alaska's great. Pretty much anywhere that's cold, despite the fact the weather sucks, those places are awesome.
Yeah. I hear you on that. Well, and how are you doing? I should have asked you that, so the people that listen to this have an update.
You did. You did ask, didn't you? Or no? You asked me what was going on at the beginning.
Well, yeah, I didn't.
How am I doing? I'm good.
Your brain is okay. And...
Yeah, I'm just waiting to get a contract in my hands to fight. So
like for the people that like don't understand how this process works, like you get a call from Joe Silva and say,
well, what happened is Corey Anderson has been calling me out on Twitter, and I accepted, and we told the UFC, and then we're just waiting for the contracts.
Oh, so that's a little breaking news. So it looks like
not really.
Well, that's the targeted fight.
Well, yeah, and Dave reported it yesterday, actually.
Oh, did he? Okay, so where do you think
so
this?
It's not breaking news.
Okay, so where do you think it's going to happen at?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we requested, and originally this is nothing that's not on Twitter either.
Right.
He asked to fight anybody in the top 15 or Tom Lawler on March 5th. So I responded. I said, I'll do that. Let's do it. So just waiting to hear back 100%.
Yeah, I think that would be a great card to be on. It's probably going to be the biggest card of the year other than 200.
Well, it'll be the biggest show of the year as long as I'm on it. So.
Yeah. So Anderson, he's a was he like an NAIA wrestler and he got into this?
No, he used to be the 185 champion, lost to Chris Weidman twice. Had a run in Pride for a while.
I thought that was Anderson Silva.
Yeah. Tall black guy. So I'm fighting. Anderson. Lawler versus Anderson.
Well, I gotta see. Oh yeah, he's Division III wrestler. He was. Oh, I know this guy. This is a guy that somehow knew Ben Askren, and Ben got him and said, "Hey, you should fight." And he started out at Duke Rufus's in Milwaukee. I remember Ben telling me a story about this guy. And then I guess he's in Jersey now.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's so he beat Fabio Maldonado and Jan Blachowicz, attorney at law.
That guy's actually Polish.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah. Blachowicz, yeah. Yeah, and then but he lost to Vellante, and you knocked that guy into the next decade.
That's right.
So
I knocked him at least into 2016.
Yeah, there you go.
And he may have knocked Anthony Perosh back into the 1800s or whenever Perosh was born.
Yeah. I don't think we'll be seeing Perosh too many more times, or hopefully no more times. He's like 45 years old, whatever. But Tom, I was happy.
Yeah, I don't know. Tim used to train with.
Oh, really? With Perosh? So they're like the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was happy. I actually got quite a few messages asking, when we were going to do the podcast again, and I had a million excuses and moving, and
drunk,
Vegas, yeah, drinking on days where you were actually open, and shit like that. But I was actually happy that the people were like, well, when's the show coming out? So at least that means that they're listening or they want to listen to it.
Those people that were wondering when the show's coming out should go to athletetees.com too, Brian.
They should. Yeah. So there's two stores on there. There's a store for the Filthy Tom Lawler stuff, right?
Yep.
And then there's also one for the Filthy FRB show, and we have just the one that says Filthy FRB show, well-deserved obscurity on the back. And then we got this other one about Betch and Gooch and Moose and Marquardt.
Did you see the Gooch? The Gooch is now at ATT.
Yeah, so the Gooch is taking over. Some of these people think
he's taking something.
Yeah, they think. The Gooch is going to be a lightweight in a few months here, but so the Gooch looks good, and those T-shirts. If I see at one of these events, I'll buy you 2 beers. That's how much the T-shirt is. Just wear it to the show. I'll buy you 2 beers. So it'll be a wash. Yeah.
The Bill Cosby cocktail. You may not want to drink it, guys.
All right, Tom. Hey, you got anything in closing that you'd like to add to this professional broadcast transmission?
Nope. Not at all. Well, maybe something. It's 2016. It's a new year. Thanks for listening, guys. And if you don't listen, fuck off.